Welcome to Left, Right, and You with Tim Elenz and Paul Edwards. They're talking current events, politics, local, state, and federal. Now here's Tim Elenz and Paul Edwards and Left, Right, and You.
Well, hello, Tim.
Hey, Paul. How are you?
I'm much better than last week, but it sounds like you had a fantastic debate last week. Jeff, all of a sudden his last name escapes me.
Ward.
Jeff Ward was kind enough to come and sit in for me. Thank you, Jeff. And I saw him write up in the paper what a nice debate you guys held, and it was actually truly
It was more of a forum.
Well,
I don't know if it was a debate.
Well, I guess the two of them sat there and they actually discussed issues and were respectful to one another and didn't take shots at each other or anything like that, which is what I think is
They were
better.
sitting on each other's lap. That's how cordial it was.
So. I didn't see any dollar bills.
Usually got to pay extra for that.
Really, two really nice guys.
Yeah.
Real nice guys. Elgin is, the epitome of Elgin. I mean, they're just really nice. They really care. They have different ideas and different views, and they didn't attack each other. Not like Tweedledum and Tweedledee that were on at one time. And very nice men. Really enjoyed them.
And I think that's a great way to do it, where you actually sit there and you espouse what you believe and what you've done and what you're going to do, and then let the listeners, the voters, the constituents decide, hey, which guy do I like best, rather than which guy do I like least. So congratulations. I heard it went very well.
And it's interesting. I think they have 10 people running for 2 seats or 3 seats on the city council. There's 10 people running, and we're going to have Tish Powell. She's running. You remember she was involved with Ruth Munson?
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. We met her up at the office the one day.
Nice lady.
Excellent.
Sincere person. I actually had talked to her last night.
Good.
And had a real nice conversation with her, so she's going to come on. And I think there's 2 women out of 10. I think there's 2 women running out of 10 candidates, and there's 3 seats that are up out of 6, if I'm not mistaken.
And what is the term? Is it the term councilman, or is there a different
councilman? Yeah, councilman.
Okay, so I was trying to find the non-gender specific term, but are there currently any women serving on the city council in Elgin?
I don't believe that there are. I don't know that there ever was, actually.
Okay, I think it'd be nice to get a woman's perspective in there.
Yeah, she's quality. I like her. She's a nice person.
Yeah. I want to take 1 second and give a little plug today. I don't know if you noticed that I got a haircut today, but I went to this wonderful place in Wooddale called Salon Michelle, and you know what? I think she actually did a good enough job that she actually makes me look good, which is really hard to do.
Did Michelle do you?
She was my no. She didn't do me. She cut my hair.
Well, that's what I meant.
But you remind me of a young Stan Laurel.
I don't know if that's hey, he was tall.
He was tall.
All right, so they can't. So the young one. This is before he hit his growth spurt, right?
The old Stan Laurel, not good.
Anyway, if anyone is looking for just a really a quality, it was like $12.
Oh, okay.
$12.
A hair?
No, not the entire head. And
not the entire
head. And I have a big head. Anyway, it's at 214 East Irving Park Road. It's the Salon Michelle. Michelle Gutierrez is the owner operator. Of course, I call her Shelly.
How old is Michelle Gutierrez about?
Michelle Gutierrez is 29 years old.
Oh, okay. Because there was a Michelle Gutierrez from the neighborhood.
No, different one.
No.
She actually she was my babysitter for my kids when I lived in Wooddale. So I've known her for a long time. And like I said, they're over at 214 East Irving Park in Wooddale. Phone number there in case anyone wants to make an appointment. And it's full service. Everything 630-694-4247. Michelle, I expect a $6 haircut next time with the same quality. By the way,
what is full service haircut?
Well, no, because they do the whole setting. You know, if you go to like Great Clips or something. Great. No. That's Tim. You go to way too many of those places.
Tim, it means there's no cuts. That's what it means.
No, it means that they do they do the dye, they do the nail salon. They got the whole 9 yards here. It's a nice little setup. So Michelle, thank you for the wonderful haircut, and Sherry, it was good to see you today, even though we did mess with you the entire time we were there.
Okay.
But moving along to business now.
Our commercials are done now.
I think so. Our topic today is.
Our topic is the state
income tax.
Are they crazy?
Yeah. We have 2 guests that have agreed to join us today. We will be having Randy Ramey, the the state rep. I forget which district he's out of, but he's right here in our listening area. And then we're also in the second half going to have State Senator John Milner.
Yeah, and he's busy. He's squeezing us into.
Yeah, I want to throw out there though that we did extend an invitation to the state senator right from Elgin.
How do you spell that?
Mike Nolan. And I extended that invitation, and I mistakenly, when I extended that invitation in writing to him, assumed, and we all know what happens when you assume, that he had voted for the tax increase.
Well, can I defend you for once?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, he was on the show twice, and both times he said that he was going to vote for the tax increase 5%.
I know, but I didn't do my research. But you're right. He did sit here twice and tell us how it was really good for people. So the increase went in or was approved. I don't even know when it goes into effect. If it's gone into effect,
January 1st.
Okay, yeah. So I think Ramey will be able to give us some details on that.
District 55, by the way.
Okay.
District 55.
So so he responded to me, Paul, did you know that I voted against it?
Of course.
And I responded to him in writing saying, well, would you like to come on
you're talking about Nolan.
Nolan.
Okay,
yeah. Senator Nolan, would you like to come on and explain then our listeners why you voted against it? What was wrong with it? I didn't say that you were a proponent of it, but I gave him that opportunity, and I did not hear back from him. And Tim and I had a little discussion about Mike Nolan, and we actually had Tim and I had a little tiff today. I don't know, not a tiff, but Tim felt like I shouldn't have extended an invitation to Mike Nolan because he doesn't think that we should give him a forum to speak because for whatever reason. I'll let Tim tell you whatever reason. Where I believe that we need to give everyone a forum, especially people that I disagree with. And part of the reason I like to have people that I disagree with on is I believe that the more they speak, the more people will see why I disagree with them. So I really wanted him on to sit here and tell the people of Illinois why they should give more of their money to the state that's mismanaged the money so far. Now, he didn't vote for it. Why? Any thoughts as to why he wouldn't vote for an increase that he said he was going to vote for, Tim? And mind you, since Senator did not choose to come on our airwaves, I guess all we can do is speculate.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm just going to say that he doesn't behave himself. That's all.
Okay.
He's just intemperate and he doesn't behave himself. And we had asked him several times to behave himself, and he didn't do it. And I don't think he's honest. I just don't think he portrays the truth the way it is. And one thing I'm going to say, Mayor Schock was on, and I asked him straight out, was he for the tax increase? And he gave the best answer that I've ever heard anybody say. I'm sorry.
What was it?
What he said was he thinks that the state should be more burdened by income tax than it should be on property tax. And let me tell you what his point was, and I think he was very sincere in what he said. He said that because when you're not working, you still got to pay your property taxes. If you're not working, you don't have to pay your income tax. And the way that he said, and I believed him. I believed everything that he said. Now, I'm not a judge, and I don't mean to be judging Senator Nolan. But I get a lot of sincerity when I hear Mayor Schock talk. And you know what? That was a very good answer. But how do you reverse that?
Yeah.
Because what happens is a lot of these legislators will stick their hands in the pocket. So instead of taking that money and putting it to where it's supposed to be, they're going to figure out these little earmarks.
Right.
I don't know what they call them in Illinois.
Yeah.
$25,000 checks to the VFW.
Right. Right.
Yes. So do we have a caller, Dave? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Real quick before we bring that caller, I wanted to say, I hate to speculate because obviously I made an assumption and look like an idiot. So I'm going to make another assumption or speculation and say, from what I understand, this income tax passed by one vote.
Yeah. The Senate.
By one vote in the Senate. And this particular Senate race between the incumbent, or now Senator Mike Nolan and Steve Rauschenberger, was hotly contested. I think it took a week before it was finally called in favor of Mike Nolan. And I just wonder if politics as usual is going on, where Cullerton says, hey, you know what? Now that I've got enough votes, who can we release who's in a tightly contested area? From voting for it to influence, so he can in the next election say, well, I didn't vote for that tax increase, but only because they knew they had it passed with people who were safe.
Why isn't he grandstanding? Why isn't he out there?
I guess I would like to hear. I would have liked to have heard from him why, because the Democrats were the ones who put it through. So if you're going to stand up against your party, come tell us why. And if you make sense, I'm a swayable person. I am a swayable person. If he said to me, hey, you know what? There was this tied to it, that tied to it. It was more than I wanted it. We didn't make the cuts, or it included borrowing, which I was against. Make an argument for us. Tell the people why. But otherwise, the only thing we can do is say, they had enough votes, so they let him out of it for election purposes down the road. We do have a caller, but we need to make it quick because we do need Jeff. We need to make it quick because we do need to call State Rep Randy Ramey and get on with him. So, hi, Jeff.
No, I agree with you 100%. I'm just maybe I should call back and talk to him because honestly, you guys bring up a lot of good stuff there. But the problem is, the bottom line is, it's not getting to the little guy. And I think most of us are little guys, all right? And these guys, these buffoons down there, haven't got a clue what they're doing. Pass it now and read it later on, because we all know that half that stuff they read is so thick, it's got to take 4 or 5 other people to read it, because they couldn't do it the amount of time they have anyway, right? That's what I pay those extra people. They're, interns to go and do all that. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You're right. I can tell you this. I've been hearing this from real quick and let him say it, but I hope he's listening. Because honestly,
who's listening?
We've got governors and governors in both states, Indiana and Wisconsin, and I think Iowa also. We're pushing to get our business over there because of what Quinn has done. It's hard for me to stand behind the state anymore. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to see a domino effect. I guarantee you're going to lose a lot of business, and they're going to go to other states to make more money, with less taxes. And you can't blame them. My wife's company is looking at that already. Quite frankly, I wish they would have thought about that maybe 13, 15 years ago, because Illinois just, what do you do? These guys are not willing to cut, period. And they, you know why? It's because they're all bought and paid for by the people that they don't want to cut. Am I not correct?
Jeff, you're absolutely positively preaching to the choir. And although we love having you on, we do have State Rep Randy Ramey on the line. So we're going to let you go right now. Please stay tuned, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks. Thank you for calling, Jeff. State Rep. I'm sorry. Is he on with Randy Ramey? Sorry,
yes.
Sorry. I'm sorry, I got a little confused there. How are you, Representative?
I'm good, Tim. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm fantastic. Congratulations. I haven't spoken to you, but congratulations at a race.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And thank you for standing up to these people in Springfield.
Well, it sounded like Jeff was right on the right line there for what we need to do. And unfortunately, the party in power doesn't want to do that.
I just want to make one comment, and you can have it, Paul. I saw Tom Cross on television right before the vote, and I remember Tim Schmidt saying, we have these conferences all the time, and I'm like, I never see them. And Tom Cross got up and he said, I asked Governor Quinn what he was going to cut out of the budget before they call the vote on this. And the governor told him, I have plans to spend more money in the budget.
Right.
And it was like a little snippet. It was like this little snippet they just went kind of through. I think it was WGN. It was like, boom, get this guy off the air. And they moved right on. And I'm in awe. I just couldn't believe. Maybe the Republicans need a better media. Maybe they should start their own media.
Well, we'll start with you guys.
Oh, wow. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say. I'm sorry, Representative. That's
all right, Tim. I tell you what, and you could tell in the bill when you cap spending. Well, you don't cap spending. You stop spending. And to say that a 2% cap is going to keep us within the realms of the revenues that we're taking in is just ridiculous. Because we've spent more than that every year for the last 8 years. So, to say that we're going to cap it at 2% with this tax increase, it's just, that just means they want to spend more money. And they're not going to take care of the budget. They're not going to cut. And we're going to be a cheaper problem the next couple of years.
So, with this income tax, could we go, Randy, this is Paul, can we go to the nuts and bolts of this and sort of break it down And let me ask one question. First off, this is not a single item bill. So this is not just a bill that stands alone and raises the income tax rate. There's other things associated with it. Is that correct?
Well, yes. There's a multiple of items as part of the bill, and that one of those parts being the cap in spending, and then they immediately increase the taxes both on your individual and business income taxes. So, and they make it retroactive to January 1. So those first couple of weeks, we're going to make sure we get that money from you. And then for 4 years, keep it at that rate, and then do a slow reduction.
Okay. Does the rate immediately jump up to 5.25% for every Illinois taxpayer?
Correct.
Okay, so I make $1,500 or I make $2,000 a month. I'm going to be paying more in taxes just like anybody else. Even though on my $2,000 a month, I'm paying my health care, I'm trying to pay my rent, trying to pay my babysitter, all those things, and they're going to take a little bit more away from me. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
And you lost that 2% from the
and
Fed.
They'll go back 2 weeks ago to make sure we got that portion of your pay too.
Okay. So this is not a gradual where it's going up to 5.25. This is bam, it hits you 5.25 right now, square in the face.
Correct.
Okay.
That's
now,
correct.
Isn't there also a component on income for businesses? What was the tax rate for businesses?
Well, the business rate was at 5.7, I believe.
Okay.
But now, because there's also a 2.5% rate in there for coverage, I can't think of the language right now, but they're going to jump that rate to 7.3, but you add on the 2.5, it's 9.8 overall, which makes us third in the nation on business tax.
So if you're a small business owner who makes your money through your company, you basically had a tripling in your state income tax?
Correct.
Almost? Okay.
On your business tax and then your personal income tax.
Okay,
Correct.
so I'm a small business owner who you would like to incent to hire more people. So to incentivize me, you've taken what profit I made in a down economy, and you're taking 3 times the amount you were taking last year and asking me to hire more people. Is that correct?
That would be coming from the governor's office, correct. And in reality, you're not going to hire more people. And in fact, I'm getting phone calls in my office from businesses in my district. They're closing shop. They're leaving. They can't take it anymore.
Wow.
Well, I would think like the borders, like John Deere or Caterpillar are going to go. We're going to Iowa. Or we're going into Indiana. We're going to set up our shop 10 miles from here, 5 miles from here.
Well, Caterpillar has already said, they still have a big place down in Southside Aurora. They're going to be closing it down. They're going to start moving their manufacturing in other spots. John Deere obviously is on the west side of the state, but you're right, they're not too far from Iowa. They can move right over there. We have Boeing in Chicago. They're not going to start manufacturing here. They'll keep it out of the state. And too bad Ford just reopened a plant in Chicago, but now they're going to have to pay more here when at the time that rate wasn't going to be hit on them, and they thought they weren't going to have a tax increase. But instead, here we are. We have new jobs in Illinois, but we're going to go right after those businesses and take that money away from them.
I believe I read something, Randy, about that the state of New York has a Democrat governor and House and Senate. I believe I could be mistaken there, but they're taking the exact opposite approach than what Illinois is taking. That they're sort of more emulating New Jersey and Governor Christie, because I guess New Jersey's been getting better since they cut spending and didn't raise taxes. So what is it about Illinois that they didn't get the memo?
Well, if you guys were at the swearing in, a representative on the Democratic side talked about how we're still a oasis of blue in a sea of red in Midwestern United States. And she was thanking Speaker Madigan for taking care of the Democrats in Illinois. And this is what they gave you. They gave you a big 66% tax increase. And in reality, and to tell you the truth, when you mentioned New York, I just read today, there are 3 states who are looking to also increase their income tax rates, and then one of them is New York, one of them is California. And those are still Democratic governors. And I believe it's Governor Cuomo now in New York. But New Jersey had just lowered their rates because they were high to begin with because they had a Democratic governor. Now they're Republican. So they lowered their rates to match New York. Now New York will raise their rates to go above. So obviously New Jersey will reap the benefits from New York's raising their incomes. And remember, the governor of Indiana was saying, it's like living next door to the Simpsons with Illinois. Dysfunctional family here. And he's saying, great, come to Indiana. Wisconsin's changing their slogan, escape to Wisconsin. We like you. Business was welcome. And here in Illinois, we've been fighting the anti-business climate here. And here we go again, raising taxes against those businesses. And we're going to, as already reflected in my district, people are going to close up shop and leave. They're not going to hire. They're not going to expand. They're going to go. And this all started, 4 years ago, under Blagojevich. You had the gross receipts tax, which was an $8 billion tax increase. We defeated that. Then there was the payroll tax, which was a $9 billion tax increase. We defeated that. There was a health care tax, like $6 billion. We defeated that. But yet, in the dead of night, with a lame duck session, they passed the income tax, with $7.5 billion, and now business knows we're not friendly here, and they're going to leave.
Yeah, let me share a quick little story. Randy, I'm a small business owner. Sometime last year, I get a letter from the state of Illinois that if I've bought anything online that Illinois did not get a sales tax on, that I needed to report that and pay sales tax to the state of Illinois.
Right.
So I had my accountant go through, and we did it, and we paid the sales tax. So I get a letter this week telling me that, oh, yeah, you did pay the sales tax, but because you didn't pay it on time, here's also a penalty and interest that you have to pay today.
Well, that's Illinois for you.
Now,
I'm sorry, Paul. You should have called me first. I said don't pay it.
Yeah, it was only $36. I paid it. Thanks, Dave.
But you got to pay a penalty.
But isn't it just ridiculous that here they say, do the right thing. I'm the small business. I do the right thing. I'm not hiding from my taxes. I'm not avoiding my burden, my responsibility. And then they come and ask me for $36 more. Now, if they do that to, 1,000 companies in Illinois, look at how much money they just raised, and they just nickel and dime it away, and it's ridiculous.
We got. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Tim.
I ask you 2 questions. Is everybody running next year? Does everybody have to run, including the senators? Is because of the redistricting?
Correct. Everybody is up.
Everybody's up.
Statewide officials.
Okay. My next question is, what the heck happened? Minnesota, Iowa, Michigan, Indiana. What happened? Why are we the only blue state left in the Midwest? Maybe it's a longer answer.
We would need another whole show.
Okay. Well, maybe you could come back next week.
Let me ask you this question: Had Illinois either elected a Republican governor, a Republican House, or a Republican Senate, would this have gone through?
No.
And
here's the thing: the reason why they passed it now is because obviously we had the Democratic governor in Quinn, so they needed him to work this out. If Brady had won, they would not have passed it because they believe that would have helped the budget problem. But here, again, they obviously didn't take Math 101 or Economics 101, that when you raise taxes and you're only taking in $7 billion and you have a $13 billion deficit and you're not taking care of any of your spending or cutting the budget, doing anything else to coincide with that, you don't fill the hole. And, you know, it just exacerbates the whole problem because as Quinn said, and you said earlier, he's going to spend more.
Yeah.
And they only cap spending. I mean, that means they're going to spend more.
So they didn't cut it. They just said, we're going to spend only 2% more instead of making any cuts at this point. One last question, and then we're on to break. We want to thank you in advance for taking the time to chat with us today. Was there any borrowing in this bill? Because I thought I had heard something about or read something about Governor Quinn wanting to borrow money because he felt it would be cheaper to pay back Wall Street than the interest rate that we pay to our vendors for being late.
Correct. The borrowing was a separate bill, and it was defeated.
Okay.
They needed 71 votes on the borrowing. They only needed 60 votes on the tax increase. So on the borrowing, they ran it twice, and they only got up to 68 votes. So they were going to borrow $13 billion to pay our bills, and then just with the tax increase, cover the cost of the interest on that borrowing and pay it off over, I believe they said, 14 years.
Okay.
So that failed.
Okay.
Well, Representative, thank you very much for calling in, and you're welcome to come back, and maybe when we have a 3-hour show, we can talk about what happened.
Then we could go over the ups and downs of the whole campaign process. But, gentlemen, Paul and Tim, I appreciate both having me on.
Thank you.
Thank you very
You're
much,
always welcome to
Representative.
come
Take
back.
care.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
And we're off to break. We'll be back in a couple minutes, and we'll be back with Senator John Milner shortly after the break.